you for joining us. And I know a lot of people in our community, mind you, we're not like one of the largest communities out there. And, but we're a very focused, kind of hyperactive community that's been working in the gamification of DAOs. We also kind of set ourselves up like an opportunistic fund. And we've been around for about 6 months. I know you guys know all of this. I'm just going to kind of recap real quick, if it's okay. And I would really like to talk about just kind of how this relationship came to be. And I think this is probably, outside of how I know you guys, but also part of the bigger picture here. But, I ran into, or we were working with some people from Infinite, right? I think that's a subsidiary of what you guys are. And we were introduced to some really cool people. I've met Reggie and Malika and a couple other team members over there. And I had an opportunity to fly out for the McLaren Mint and go hang out with the team from Suku, and had talked to Addison and a couple other people that were integral, like Jonathan and others, and kind of fell in love with this idea and vision that they had around, building out what we would call the metaverse, right? So through that, I was connected with team members from both sides of the fence and have been going back and forth with them about different things that we're doing and things that you guys are applying in the space. And, this whole conversation came about, well, there's a lot of cohesion here. There's a lot of groups that we work with together. There's a lot of communication that happens between these groups. This seems like a very beneficial relationship. And whether we actually did anything as a community together was really the question of how we could work together, but also just try to figure out, what the long-term vision is for both of these organizations and how we could work together, right? So, again, I've had the opportunity to sit with Alejo and with Thomas, and it's been very, very nice working with you guys. You guys are definitely professional in the way that you handle yourselves. So why don't we just jump right into it? I mean, if you guys don't mind, I know we have some pre-canned questions, but if you guys wouldn't mind just kind of introducing yourselves to Monks, and telling us a little bit about yourselves, and then we can just jump into the AMA. And I've got a couple questions that I could probably fire off with, when we get started, and then just open it up to the community and take it from there. How's that sound?
That sounds great.
All right, awesome. So why don't you introduce your guys' selves, and then we'll just take it from there.
Sure. So I'm Thomas, and I joined with the Suku team, I think just about 6 months ago now. And before that, I had been in contact with Alejo and Jonathan and a bunch of the guys there. I kind of fell in love with the team and with the vision and everything they were developing, and saw some areas I thought we could strengthen from the community side. And I was at that time I was working as a community manager with Origin Protocol, if you're familiar with them. And eventually I was kind of doing both, and then I thought, okay, I see I see really long-term vision with Suku and with what's being developed over here with these guys, and I love the team, and so I asked if I could come on full time, and I made the transfer over, and it's been amazing ever since.
It's insane. So you actually were at Origin before this, because Origin is like deep NFT layer 2, right? If I remember correctly. They are all about NFTs, right?
Yeah, they were one of the originals, really. They came up, they got really big early on with the 3 Law drop, which I don't know if you know the DJ 3 Law. He's pretty popular, and he had, like, really early on and I think January of 2021, he had a record-breaking drop for, I think, for an album he was launching as NFTs. I think they closed 11 million with in sales and this was at that time huge, and after that it just took off from there, they partnered with Paris Hilton and with a bunch of other creators. And yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah, hype train the hell out of that one. It sounds
my
like that's
God,
awesome.
man, it was
Yeah,
a hype train. Glory
yeah, but that.
days.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's awesome. So you have a lot of experience in managing communities in Web3 then, because
I
they also hit a really high market cap if I remember.
they
They're in the couple hundred million, right?
right now, I believe, yeah, somewhere above 100 million, which, in this current climate is very high, you could say. And yeah,
That's
and
interesting.
mhm,
Oh,
it
that's
was
cool.
exciting times.
So you brought all that experience over to Suku and uh, basically became a team member. You found Suku. It sounds like you actually
Yeah,
met these guys. That's awesome.
I actually found them through really funny ways. At the time I was really obsessed with tracking whale activity on Etherscan, and I started noticing some interesting whale activity on Suku, and that led me into their community. And then one thing led to another, and I just started connecting with the team. That's really, I think, if for a lot of people that want to get into the Web3 space, if you're interested in working and community, whatever it is, it's such a unique environment where you can go into a Discord, into a Telegram, and just connect directly with the CEO or core team members and build relationships that way. So
Yeah,
it's pretty exciting.
absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of weird how much access you get, right?
Yeah, it
And who
is.
you get access to. Yeah, it's really really interesting. That's hilarious. I didn't know you were doing whale tracking activity. I've got a background in doing basically the same thing. Right? I think you know that.
Yeah.
We used to do a lot of whale tracking back in the day. Say back in the day, it was like 2017 to 2019. Let's be real.
Wow.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
It was. But awesome. Yeah, I don't know. Alejo, I know you're here to do some support, but did you want to introduce yourself real quick? I think his mic's off. You're muted. If not, don't worry.
I think he's unmuted now.
Yeah, he's unmuted. Probably stuck on push to talk though still.
About now.
Oh, there you are. There you are.
Okay, that was a problem. Then I was commenting, making comments, and no one was answering back. I just thought that my comments were shit. So
Oh, no
I'm
worries.
glad.
Where are you posting? Where are you posting at? Yeah, you're commenting. Let me see.
No,
Oh,
no, no.
oh,
I mean,
oh.
I was making comments on the stuff that Thomas was talking about, and I was hearing nothing back. I guess these are
Oh,
shitty comments, terrible comments.
um,
I was going to ask before introducing myself, Tom, what kind of tools were you using for the whale trick? I'm curious.
Very, very primitive. Just hands-on Etherscan, just clicking, tracking every day, just scanning. I never got started with it using any bots. I always wanted to up my game with bots and take it to the next level, but really just hours and hours of just tracking and collecting information on what what coins some of these whales were speculating on and what they were doing. And then once I would have a hunch that I knew what they were up to, I would then make my decision what I was doing.
hey,
That's
Yeah.
you guys want to hear something crazy? So just now in general chat, I posted links to 2 Ether addresses. Those Ether addresses belong to the most profitable DeFi trader in all of DeFi. And I know this for a fact because I've been watching this wallet for years. So if you guys take a look in the general chat, I actually posted them in there. Both of those wallets belong to the wealthiest man in Hong Kong, who's been the market maker for DeFi for like the last 6 or 7 years, literally.
still active, still trading.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, I think you can see in there
Damn
he's
shame.
got like 2 million in one wallet, and then I think probably a couple 100 million in another
Ooh.
wallet. He's got like 56 million in another one, plus 41 million in tokens. So I know this
Beautiful.
because I one of the things that I did early on was working with big funds, right, like high frequency trading funds. And so yeah, one of them is mine. Efren says. Just killing it, huh? There's a long story about this one though. So he was the market maker for pretty much all the decentralized lending protocols. Plus, he was super early on EOS and a bunch of other really, really big projects that are out there. But he's the market maker for most of the DeFi protocols. And if you look through the history of all those wallets that he's connected to, you'll see him moving around 20,000 ETH like it's no big deal,
Wow.
right? And he's just making positions left and right. You can look at all of his Uniswap V3 positions that he's got and see where he predicts the price of Ethereum is going to be. There's a lot of analysis you can do just based on this one wallet. And so what I found out was he's also the market maker for big exchanges like Bitfinex, Hobai, a couple other ones. And if you were to take up his, if you aggregate all of the wallets in this lineage of wallets that are connected to these guys, you just look at all the inbound deposits. What you'll find is he's labeled as the $200 million trader on Etherscan. And his wallet goes all the way back to the Genesis block. So you can see the entire history. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing stuff. But if you ever want to know what protocols are going to kick ass, that's one of the wallets to watch right there. So check it out. Check it out when you get a chance. I love super fun stuff. And Thomas, I spent so many hours developing software around that. But yeah, I'm super glad to see that we have a lot of history and commonality in that too, because you can make a killing just by observing what the market's doing and who the market makers are.
You can.
Outside of that though, we kind of fell in through one of my partners, Josh, who's actually was on here for just a minute. He was trying to get in to catch this call, but so you guys are both with Suku. You guys, Alejo, how did you fall into Suku? And I sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you either, but I think
not at all. Not at all. No. So yeah. Hello, everybody. Alejo is my name. So I'm head of growth at Suku. So I'm the marketing guy. Originally from Argentina. That's where the accent comes from. I'm based in LA. My background is actually kind of funny because I am a B2B marketer. I've been in the B2B space for years. We have two. I've been for the past 3 years before jumping into fully into Web3. I was selling business cards, which is kind of like the complete opposite other side of the world speaking of technology. When we talk about marketing, we talk about business. Like kind of business cards is the most traditional, old school way to market and brand a company, right? And generate relationships. I was handling the marketing at a business cards printing company. So super cool, nice. It was a great team in the Bay Area. The company was based in the Bay Area. But at some point, I think it was 2017. A friend of mine, got me into crypto. He said, "You should check this out. You're gonna love it." And that's what happened. I fell in love with crypto. Coming from Argentina, DeFi for me was like an eye opener. We have the second biggest inflation, highest inflation in the world. So when I started learning about DeFi and the capabilities, I said, Jesus Christ, this is insane. I got to I got to start preaching this to my family, my friends in Argentina. And so I started writing about it, sharing, created a little community around me. And at one point I was obsessed, spending more time learning and talking about crypto than actually thinking on how to grow, the business card company. And so I just decided to take the leap and literally quit the company and took a little vacation. I think it was 1.5 month vacation. And after that, started looking for opportunities, stumbled upon Suku. And that's how it went. Basically, started talking to Jonathan, the CEO, and it was a very quick process. It got in really fast. So yeah, that's me. And basically, I do all things growth at Suku, and I guess my main responsibility is to increase the token holder value in any way possible.
Yeah, that's a always a tough position to be in, but I think right now with the way things are going, anybody that survives through the next 6 months and is still operational is in a good spot. And I know you guys have been cranking, especially with partnerships and other things that you guys have been working on. So it's really, really good to see all this start to come to fruition. Like, they always say too, even though we've got a slight pump right now, I would still consider this somewhat crypto winter, and I don't think we're out of this anytime soon. But you guys are active. You guys are doing a lot of things. You guys work with a lot of great communities. I know a lot of the communities that you guys work with. So I'm
Mhm.
really, really excited to finally kind of put this out there and just kind of open this up. So yeah, I mean, if you guys don't mind, we've got some kind of pre-canned questions that we drummed up, but I'd really like to dive into what are some of the issues that we aim to tackle in the NFT space and Web3 communities, probably more specifically, how we as Web3 communities plan to kind of exist and coexist with Suku and everything over the next couple months as we continue to build out. How do you guys see that happening? I mean, you guys, I think Thomas, this is probably more geared for you.
Sure, sure. So, so one thing for certain, and we discussed this a bit during our recent call, is that with over 80,000 NFT projects on Ethereum alone, you have a lot of these siloed and disconnected communities. And within that 80,000, we're really only talking about how many would you say that are real solid communities like crypto monks that are sustaining and building into the future? Probably less than 1%, right? And within those, we still think that you have the communities, you have incredible teams, but there's a need for extra infrastructure to potentially take things to the next level with X and earn incentives, with having a shared economy that can power an ecosystem of NFT communities. And that's essentially where we're trying to step in and add that extra layer of support. And
When you
yeah,
when you guys are talking to these other NFT communities too, like what's the general consensus right now amongst most of the communities that you guys work with? I mean, not the ones that you work with, but the ones you probably have to go through quite a few in order to find some that are still active. Like the percentages are probably way down. So it's interesting to see, like you said, the communities that are still active, that are still building and still doing things. And I was just wondering, um, with all of the stuff that you guys have seen and all the exposure that you guys have had, if you guys have really noticed any kind of big drawdown recently. I mean, I'm sure you have, but do you think it's really impacted the space that you guys are in, at least? Or did you guys expect this when you were coming into this? Because I believe Suku didn't necessarily start out in the metaverse either, but that's a whole other conversation.
Right. Yeah. 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 Correct. And let me just chime in there. Suku
Yeah.
started many years ago. We started with a supply chain solution that that helped brands to be more transparent with their supply chains, etc. But in the process, we discovered that NFTs were actually the thing that would make the difference, or one of the things that would make the difference in the space. Because we developed this product called Infinite World, and now it became a fully infinite world, a company with 150 employees, clients like McLaren. So that's how we got into NFT. So we pivoted completely the company. Well, I would say not completely, but almost all of it, all of our energy and focus is now put into the metaverse, into the NFT space, because we see so much potential. And so to answer your question, when it comes to communities and founders, yes, there is. The, the metrics and the sentiment obviously show that there's less interest and less movement going on in the space for the past few months. But that's, I mean, the way I see it is, on one hand, we have the bear market, right? The sentiment is low, people are less engaged, etc. Another big thing that comes across every time that we talk to community founders and community members, especially community creators, is that they are not able to achieve the visions that they set when they started the community, not because of lack of engagement or it's lack of infrastructure, the tools to build those things that they set to achieve. It's very hard to create a game. It's very hard to create a metaverse. It's very hard to make these things. There's a lot that goes into that. Besides money, obviously. And so that's one of the things that we are focusing on right now. It's building the tools to enable the creators to kind of like achieve those dreams and transform those promises into realities.
Yeah, I think that's where your guys' name Suku is actually very original from that fact, right? The name Suku, I believe, was from supply chain plus customer, right? I think so. It was something to that extent. I thought I heard Jonathan say that one time. I was like, that's an interesting name, Suku. And he's like, oh, well, it stands for
supply customer. Yeah.
Supply customer. Yeah, that's right. And so it was interesting to hear that because that's how I started in NFTs, believe it or not, was actually trying to do one of the things that, Suku was working on very early. And obviously Suku got much further, but yeah, it's supply chain. Then we realized, oh shit, there's this thing called globalized tokenization exchanges. GTE is the short term for it. And kind of realized the same thing. It's like, these NFTs are a lot more than just images on cards or, these little transferable, non-fungible items. There's a lot you can do here. And these communities that are powering these things are really just that's the onboarding of the general populace. You know what I mean? That's something that normal people who are not crypto or web people can say, you know what, I understand this. This makes sense. Trading cards, for example, makes sense to me. I used to buy baseball cards. I used to buy Magic cards. These things I'm very familiar with. Trading and how they have rarity. Everybody understands that. So that's just Absolutely. The way that I look at it. Yeah, it's like you guys kind of touched point and made the quick transition into metaverse, and then you guys went out and had enough money to go out and start purchasing companies that were strategically placed into supporting services dedicated to communities, right? Communities being people that were building games and architecture and infrastructure. So yeah, that was the thing where I was like, oh shit, these guys really are ahead of the curve here, and it's really, really interesting to see how similar the like-mindedness here was. And so when I talked to Jonathan, and obviously when I talked to you guys behind the scenes, that was one of the things. It's like, there is a lot of synergy here. We just need to make it work. So with that, I mean, you guys have what we call a shared economy model, right? And I think, and let me, if you don't mind, I want to take a stab at this just to see how relevant this is. But when I think of the shared economy model, I'm also thinking about providing value and utility to the development and the services that are all related to building these metaverses, right? These individual little universes inside of, Web3. So that's kind of how it was, from my perspective. But I would love to hear your guys' take on it as far as how Suku plans to integrate, what the shared economy model looks like, and obviously how this is all being implemented.
Yeah, that's definitely definitely that you're on the right track with that. And I think the distinction between Infinite World and Suku is a good example of what that shared economy can look like, because Infinite World came from Suku. It started as a service or a platform. As part of it was Infinite by Suku. And now that they've turned into this massive company, this that's potentially or is going public, or I shouldn't say one way or another about that. I mean, which is
we know, yeah, plans are to basically grow, right? And that's the direction you guys are headed. Yeah.
Right. And now that we're creating this, that now that we are two separate entities, we recently announced that Suku is allocating 180 million Suku tokens to go to Infinite World for their metaverse development, for their X and earn incentives to build for utility models to provide for clients. Because I mean, Infinite World is essentially a centralized company, but you still need to have like an economy model, right? To be able to create X and earn, play to earn, whatever it is. And so with Suku, with Suku and Infinite World, or I'm sorry, with Suku and Infinite World both using the Suku token, that's just like one step in or one example of how that shared economy will expand. I mean, the more people that are partaking in the shared economy, the greater the utility for everybody in the ecosystem, because you have NFT and Web3 communities, which as they come into this ecosystem are enabled with tools and incentives across the entire thing. So
So
that
yeah,
go ahead.
it's all. I was gonna say it's the medium for basically transaction in the development and the deployment of these communities, right? I think that's really kind of how Suku has positioned itself, right? It's also, like you said, 180 million tokens are going to Infinite for development, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's millions and millions of dollars pouring into the development. Um, and in that, I know that Infinite has a really, really interesting track record too. And just wondering, because this kind of leads into another question I had, which is how Infinite and Suku are connected. You touched base on it a little bit, but also Infinite has a lot of connections in the space because they've done a lot of work with big companies. I know they had something like 150 employees at the peak there. So they're not messing around. It's a large organization in
Oh yeah.
Web3, right? So yeah, I mean, how did that come about? And what's the bigger and broader relationship there between Suku and Infinite?
Right. So so I mean, as we were saying, Infinite World started as a platform uh within Suku, to provide, starting with the use of NFC tags that would connect physical products to NFTs for authentication and verification. So you could have a hat or a handbag that had the NFC tag in it, and you would scan it with a Suku scanner, I believe it was at that time, and then it would verify the authenticity of that product. And we early on we even partnered. This was before I came in, but partnered with BT. Are you familiar with the DJ musician BT?
Yep,
And
yep.
exact. So he released a series, actually with Origin Protocol. He released a series of these sculptures, these like mountainous, pretty psychedelic sculptures that with physical additions. And Suku's part in that, which was really the Infinite World platform within Suku, was providing the NFC tags that were embedded into the physicals that linked them for forever to their NFT, to their digital counterpart. And so yeah, that was sort of early on. And then Infinite World, this was a lot before I came on, and it was just like a stunning revelation that Infinite World announced that they were due to go public. I don't want to talk about that. I don't, because I don't,
No worries.
because yeah, because we're from the Suku team, and I don't, I know it's that's a delicate thing, of course, whenever you're going public as a company. And so, but with that, I mean, you could almost say that Suku and Infinite World are we're very interconnected at the same time as being two separate entities. Alejo maybe can describe it better because he's been around longer than I have, and he was there for the transition period. But yeah, do you have
Yeah,
anything you can add to that?
yeah,
Go ahead.
absolutely. So as Tom said, Infinite World was bred out of Suku, where it started as a product, and today it's 150 employee big. It's a big company,
Yeah.
catering to amazing brands. Like McLaren is just one of them. If you think about it, Infinite World today caters to brands. It's a B2B company that provides like leading edge infrastructure for brands to jump and leap into the metaverse. Well, not leap, actually move into the metaverse in a very safe way, right? With in several ways. I guess one of the most well-known solutions of Infinite World is the white label NFT marketplace solution that actually won the first. Today we can say that Infinite World provides the best NFT white label marketplace solution for brands. And so Infinite World brings brands into the metaverse, into Web3. And with Suku, what we're doing is we're striving to bring users into Web3, right? And by having Infinite World and Suku on the same ecosystem as partners, right, we believe that there's a lot of magic that will happen there, because we're going to leverage. We are, in fact, already leveraging the infrastructure and the technology that Infinite World brings. And at the same time, we are trying to connect and bring users into that ecosystem to make the ecosystem something, to realize the promises that the ecosystem actually, makes.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you actually said something that I was really just kind of like feeling out, because I know the story and the narrative behind the scenes, but Infinite bringing brands to NFTs is huge, right? The other side, Suku bringing consumers to NFTs is also huge, but I don't think you guys will have a problem getting consumers. It's always the one thing that NFT projects try to go after are the brands, right? They're always trying to commit with brands. They're trying to get connections, or they're trying to get deals with brands. It's a huge part of how this community works. So to see it from both ends and to have one organization that focuses on consumers, obviously it's in the name, right? Like Suku works on customers. But the other one, Infinite World, bringing brands to NFTs and bringing brands into the metaverse is a great interlope, right? There's a great connection there. It's a great bridge to have, right? So that's awesome.
And what's interesting, Patrick, is from the learnings that we gather by creating and growing Infinite World and talking to businesses and creating these products, we learned so many things. And most of those things that we learned, and most of those hurdles that we stumbled upon during those processes, are the things that we're trying to solve today with Suku. So, for example, brands would say, well, this is more of a industry-wide, very well-known problem, which is the complexity and the high barriers of entry into Web3, right? And so, What are the things? So one of the things that we're thinking at Suku is, okay, what are the things that we can do using our infrastructure, our technology, and our experience, and the infrastructure of our partners among those Infinite World to improve and to better that onboarding process of people into Web3, right? One of our main goals is to make Web3, very highly adopted, right? Bring masses into Web3, bring masses into our ecosystem or through our ecosystem. Because if you think about it, what we truly aim at Suku is to connect millions of, let's call them Web3 citizens, and to power millions of experiences in this fun, collaborative, and I guess rewarding ecosystem called Suku. The second step, once people are in the space, would be connecting them into communities such as crypto monks, and bring utility. Right? There's got to be fun stuff to do, and I keep coming to the promise utility versus real utility, because that's one of the things that we're very, very focused on. It's creating the tools and enabling communities to unlock utility. And all of those utilities would be powered by Suku, by the Suku token, by the Suku economy, right? I think I went a little bit tangential there.
No, good.
No, it makes sense, right? And sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Thomas.
Oh no, that was great. If I could just add one thing that that Jonathan brought up during a recent AMA that I thought was really insightful about the synergy between Suku and Infinite World and the shared economy is we got a lot of questions about how, if McLaren is going to use the Suku token, if McLaren's going to be, if some of these other, so it's for Web 2 companies, like big Web 2 companies like McLaren or whoever else, it can be very intimidating. They want to get exposure into the NFT scene, into the Web3 scene, but they're also intimidated by it. They don't want to be forced into forced into a token right away, or other things right away. So that's why it's so important to have a company like Infinite World, which provides the smooth onboarding into bringing these giant Web 2 brands into the metaverse and deploying their white label NFT marketplaces. And then once you've brought them in and you've made that connection and you with them, then you can start offering those added utility, and which requires a shared economy. So
Yep.
that's really, yeah.
So I was going to say, also working as a medium between those two different companies too, right? Like that's Suku is in itself meant to be the medium for powering the development and the implementation, all that stuff. And that's the strategy that you guys have. Kind of fits right in place with making sure that you, like, as Alejo was saying, was making sure that there's a connection between consumers and brands, right? That's the big bridge here. And you guys have both of those bases covered. So I think that that's going to provide a lot of opportunity. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. And it's really, really interesting. And I could say though, too, that the world has been kind of a really, really ugly place lately with a lot of craziness going on. And, we would call this kind of like a crypto winter. But
Yeah.
how have you guys been faring up with the way the world's been going, and how, recently we've seen a lot of crazy things happen in the DeFi space, which isn't really metaverse, but still has an impact on crypto as a whole, right? So is that affecting anything that you guys are doing, or does that have an impact on your guys' strategy?
Yeah, we've definitely it's funny. I mean, like as like a long-term crypto investor, I personally feel, obviously like everyone else, I feel the effects of the winter and of the global economy crisis, whatever. But as a company and as a team, it's never been more exciting, and there's really never been a better time in my lifetime at Suku, and for the team. It's really, and I've heard a lot of concerns from people about about surviving through the crypto winter, and uncertainties. And really, we've never it in my time, and I think beyond, I don't think we've ever had a clear vision and the stability to keep building into the future without
Yep.
having to worry about that. So internally with the team, it's the most exciting time ever. And yeah, it's just time to build. It's basically just build when it's cold outside, and then get ready for the next summer.
Yeah. So that's interesting that you say that, but I was thinking too, in the sense that, like, um, let me put it like this, right? A lot of people haven't made it this far, right? And when I say people, I mean, people who have started projects or, been in Web3. We've seen a mass exodus as far as just volume, but that's fine. I mean, this is all very inherent of how this space acts and works. And so, for example, most of the companies that were overextended and had these grandiose visions are probably already gone, being knocked out, or facing all kinds of issues internally. And I don't see that with any of the stuff that you guys have been working on. From what I understand and from what I know, and working with your guys' team, like Infinite has been inundated with requests and customers who are looking to build out products and scale, because I think Infinite is also like it's an engineering team, but they don't necessarily like build most of the gaming stuff. But they're also employing a lot of these, I want to say, utilities for other communities, right? So like Infinite is actually building the utility that a lot of these communities have kind of fell back and crutched on now, right? So it's made you guys pretty much invaluable with a lot of these major communities, from what I understand. Would you agree with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would. I mean, I think this is now more than ever. I mean, this is where you're seeing, the survival of these NFT communities, and is really about how much they're willing to adapt and add the infrastructure to bring on those extra incentives and everything and services that Infinite World is providing, and that we at Suku aim to provide, and it's just, yeah, I absolutely.
Yeah, I've just noticed it because there's a lot of conversations that happen where they're like, "Oh, do you know the guys over at Infinite working with Suku?" And it's like, "Yeah, of course I do." Right? So they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They're building our game, or they set up all of our stuff here, and we work with that team pretty much hand in hand." And I've talked to the engineers over there, plus I've talked to the team at Suku, and it seems like it was a really good strategic play. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Strategically, yeah, get yourself in the right spot. We knew that there was going to be some kind of, the word I was looking for was consolidation, right? And you guys came to the table and you weren't blowing tons of money, right? You guys had enough capital to make it to this point where the consolidation happened. Now you guys are in a spot to start sweeping up, right? So I thought that was really interesting too, because I was like, oh, snap. Again, good strategy. These guys were looking forward and expecting things to kind of have this capitulation, right?
Right. I mean, yeah, everything I mean, Suku has been around for forever. I mean, Suku, I think Alejo was it founded in 2017 or 2016. I would have to get your.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
you could say 2016, 2017.
So Suku has been developing forever and adapting, and and then with Infinite World, I mean, you've just had incredible success, and I think really responsible teams that are building with 10 years in mind or beyond. I mean, this is not a there's not one month of future. This is building into the future. So yeah, I think you'll see a difference when going through hardship, whatever it is, where it makes that huge difference when you have that extended 10-year vision for what you're building.
So is that one of the things that you guys look for when you're partnering with communities too? Because I know our vision. I've kind of discussed it with you guys in the background, but what makes a community kind of worthy of Suku and Infinite? Like, what are you guys looking for? What are the key components?
Right. So there's a complex model that's being developed by the engineers on our team to determine that on a broader level based off of volume and social volume and trading volume and everything else. But in the meantime, with where we're being way more selective with partners like Crypto Monks and Crypto Dads and others, it's really about just the apparent value, and of course, from my experience talking to you, and I know, I'm sure it's been everybody else within, from Yonatan to Alejo, everybody has said, "Wow, this guy's brilliant." And there's just and I see Crypto Monks grinding daily. I have your notifications on for your server, and it's twice a day, just bing, 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 constantly being active. It's really it's just you guys stand out as a extremely uh as an extremely active, vibrant community and brilliant team, and I think that's something to look for. You know, when we're still in this early stage, being very selective about our partners, we're not looking for. We're not looking to catch a trend or to, just be like if something's blowing up one day. We're not interested in that. We're interested in like really the teams and the communities that have that lasting power. And I
Yeah.
think, that's absolutely crypto monks for one.
Couldn't agree more. And just to add one thing, sort of to we mentioned at the beginning, where I think I mentioned that one of the things that we want to do is we want to see this space, this industry to grow, right, as much as possible. And for that, there's a couple of things you can do. One of the things you can do is make it easy to onboard. Second thing you can do is probably make it cooler, right? Less shitty, because there's a lot of shitty things going on in the space, right? You have
Very
scammers,
true.
right? And so, I
Every
mean,
day.
just every single day. And just to make it short, what we want and what we're looking for is people that are actually doing things that matter, right? People that are doing cool things, communities that are engaged, communities that we know that the people that we bring to are going to have a good experience, right? And that's mainly the thing that we're looking for right now, and that's what we see in your community, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, we are extremely active, but we're not a big community, right? And I would say it's kind of unfortunate we did this in the middle of the afternoon, because if we would have done this at night at like 6 o'clock, there'd be a lot more people here. But I think it's okay, because I really wanted to justify the relationship, because I'm excited about it. And I talk to you guys pretty often, and I just always am sitting here like, fuck, we just need to get it kicked off. You know what I mean? We just need to have that initial call, show everybody that we're serious about this, what the opportunities are, and get this kicked off. But I think that one of the things, and I'll just come back in the other direction, was it was really the strategy that got me, right? We sat at a table with everybody from Suku. It was me and Josh, the other founder. And we talked. We talked to Jonathan, we talked to Addison, we talked to other members of the team that were there. And we all kind of agreed on the same thing. It's like, we want to look for the people that are still hardworking after the buzz is gone. Those are the builders and those are the doers, right? The people that make it through these next 6 months are going to be the ones that you always hear about from the previous one, where you're just like, damn, if I would have just stayed in a little longer, if I would have held a little longer, then this is what I would basically, or this is where I would be, right? So I've been through this quite a few times. I've seen the ups and downs of this, but that's why I was excited. It was because you guys weren't a fly by night, right? You guys had a strategy. That strategy was like basically the same as ours, but you guys had a lot more resources in that matter too. So then after talking to the team and talking to Jonathan, I was like, damn, we got something has to happen here. We gotta talk. You know what I mean? We have to keep up the communication. So I'm glad that we're doing this today. And I know we're kind of running short on time because I just keep talking here. But I don't know if you have any questions from the audience, but I had a couple more just real quick. So what do you see from here on out? Like, what is the next proverbial step for us as a group? Do you think that we start talking about our relationship in public? What do you guys think? Is this something that we can kind of officially announce on our end too, that we plan on working with Suku to help build the Web3 universe and metaverse? What do you guys think?
100%. We're prepared to talk about it and to continue expanding together with calls like this. And I think from our end, the infrastructure is still being built, which one thing at Suku that's always been the case for which can be frustrating, but really it's about that long-term vision is
Yep.
never overselling and never overhyping. We don't publish our news or like speculate on what our news is going to be until it's official, and it's really which can be a challenge because in a scene that's so hype driven that we really we're extremely tight-lipped about things until they're 100% concrete and until we have the infrastructure completely built. So as far as being publicly, so I think we have to talk internally and together, and it's difficult for me because there's certainly other core team members that have to know when that time is right. So and maybe Alejo can articulate that better than me, but yeah.
No,
really,
that was great. That was great.
Yeah.
We should totally continue doing this more often, and we're as excited as you guys to working together and
100%.
supporting all your crazy ideas, Patrick. Let's just keep doing it and
Patrick
pushing it
is
more than
brilliant.
ever.
100%.
Yeah.
And I hope we can get you in our server next week, next Tuesday. Is that
for sure.
possible?
Yeah, I'm going to spend a lot of time with you guys, hopefully more than
Awesome.
once. I mean, these are things
Yeah.
where consistency is kind of the key. And that's what I was really hoping that you guys would invite us over there because, it's a bilateral conversation, right? I think actually, I'm really glad to hear that you guys are still working on infrastructure because we are too. And we've had kinks in our roadmap, just like everybody else. And we're just kind of a very holistic group altogether. I love the fact that we're doing this. And to be honest, it's just the fact that we can be consistent and keep doing this where this is going to continue to grow. This is the first time we've introduced you guys really to the community. So I think this is a good segue, but there's a lot more work that we have to do. And I think, I don't want to talk too much, but I've talked to other team members and I know your guys' strategy behind the scenes with Monks and what's happening there, especially with our DAO Ascension and what you guys are setting up. So the future is bright. That's all I have to say. And I'm glad that we have brands like Suku and Infinite World that we can say that we can lean on for some of these things because we've got some partnerships that we're looking to bring to you guys too, right? Some friends that we're working with or companies that we're already working with as well. So I think that that's going to be really, really exciting. And this is just going to have to be a consistency play while we keep our heads down and continue to build, which I love. And I love to hear that you guys are doing the same. So
Amazing.
again, you guys.
Speaking of great things, Patrick, we consider at Suku Infinite World being one of our greatest successes. I mean, Infinite World today is literally a leading company in the metaverse and Web3 space. Bringing amazing companies into the space, and all of that was bred out of Suku. There were a lot of people that worked into this, a lot of people, but there were two people that really pushed it and led this to happen, which were obviously Jonathan, our CEO, and secondary, Lucas Henning, the CTO, right? Those two people we're very happy and excited to announce that Lucas Henning, who was leading technology, who was the CDO of Infinite World, is coming back today we announced that Lucas is coming back to Suku as the CTO.
Okay.
So now we have the two bright minds, that made everything happen. They're back at Suku. So that's super.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, that's super exciting. So the transition, all that stuff is done. You guys are on your merry way now, right? That's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think I met him while we were in Miami with Josh too. Really, really fun people. And you guys got a very talented team. That's the conversations that we had were absolutely fascinating, and I definitely learned a lot from the amount of exposure that you guys have had. That's something that I didn't really have was the amount of projects and the community and the scale that you guys have already achieved. I mean, being in business since 2017, obviously, you guys have been through these crazy up and downs, but I love talking to you guys. This has always been a mutually beneficial relationship, and I really, really look forward to it. And I hope to do a lot more of this with you guys in the future.
Yes, please. Let's do it.
All right.
This has been a great, really.
Thanks so much, man.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us.
just a big time eye opener, and I appreciate it, guys. And I'll be reaching right out to you after this. But thank you very much for cruising by the server. I didn't know if we had anybody that wanted to ask questions. I was kind of filtering through the questions and asking them that I was getting in the background while we were doing this. But yeah, just let me know. Again, we'll be probably hopping over to the Suku server sometime pretty soon. But yeah, man, appreciate it. Thank you for showing up, guys. I know we're running low on time, so.
We actually, just to touch on that, we actually have Suku AMA in their server exactly the same time, exactly the same day, but next week.
Oh, there we go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very excited for that.
All right. Excellent. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Anything else you want to leave us with or anything else that's going on? If not, don't worry. I'm not going to ask too much. I know you guys came and gave us your time today. I really, really appreciate it.
Well,
Just come cruise by our Discord and see you in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's post the link to the Discord, Stags, if you could, real quick. Just post it in general, and then I'll see you guys in a week. I appreciate it.
All right.